What's up YouTube? Welcome to the very final update on our tier list for patch 11.2 aka season 3. Today we're gonna finally rank all of the specs once again for one final time before the patch goes through. So keep in mind there will be no more changes before the patch goes through. However, there still might be one more coming in between the patch and the season. Again, the season comes 1 week after the patch, so there still might be a very slim hope for your spec to get better or worse. So once again, take this with a grain of salt. It is my opinion after all, and I would like to say a shout out to every single TWW crafter and a high rated player that I spoke for the past 6.5 weeks. You guys have been amazing, and thank you for all the community for being here in the chat. Yeah, my pleasure to be around for you guys as well. Augmentation Evoker. This is the ultimate bench angle so far from Mythic Plus. After a lot of testing with all of the specs, I'm pretty confident so far that Augmentation Evoker is likely going to be the least played spec, and it's never going to be as good as a 3rd DPS spec. Keep in mind, it still gives you safety to your team, it still have a lot of utility, so if you're okay with sacrificing damage and getting more defensive options, maybe Aug can be an option for you. But if you're looking for speed, time, and the highest keys in the world, Aug might not be an angle so far. Again, unless something else gets changed. That's pretty big L for augmentation so far, chat, but I know there are a few of you that love augmentation and are main Augs. Unfortunately, it doesn't look as good for M plus compared to rating so far, but it is what it is. Nobody can be meta all the time. They had their time in Dragonflight, they had their time in a previous expansion too. Let's move on. That's all I can say. Holy Priest as the worst performing healer right now, or at least one of the worst healers so far compared to the rest of the healing specializations. First of all, output and damage wise, again, they are not the problem. I guess they are moderate, they're nothing too special, nothing too bad. You can still get your average keys with the Holy Priest. My idea is that there are healers out there that suit better the dungeons and have better healing profile for the season 3 dungeons so far at least. Mob control, just like this priest, is pretty much non-existent. Mobility can be also an issue for you, so I would say you much better pick up playing raiding than Mythic Plus so far into the season. Again, things can change for you down the road. Maybe you're gonna get more tuning after the season goes live, after the Waterfirst race. But for now speaking, entering this patch, you will be, in my opinion, the least performing healer starting in season 3. Windwalker Monk dropping from A to B tier. Unfortunately, guys, Windwalker Monk have definitely gotten a beating this time around. Unfortunate nerf for them, although in my opinion they weren't doing as good in Mythic Plus compared to how they did in rating. But 7.5% ST nerf, a little bit less in AoE nerf. I think Windwalker Monk is likely going to be one of the least desired DPS. Now there is a chance for Windwalker Monk to climb the tier because currently we are rating specs as a standalone. So there is a chance for this monk to climb to A, even A+, if you are playing in a physical comp, whether, for example, if you're playing with a protection warrior and they don't have a Mistweaver Monk, then Monk could actually come into place as a Windwalker. However, given the fact how strong Brewmaster is, and in any other case you would like to have, for example, Mistweaver instead of a Windwalker, I would say the chances of you next season don't look that good. Unfortunately for Windwalker. I would say Windwalker is more of like a comp dependent, but after the nerfs as a standalone, you're probably going to be more like a B tier. That's about it. Once again, if you're a casual player, you are you're pugging casual keys, you don't really push high-end content or rank 1 titles. Honestly, you're still gonna be fine by them just because tanks are scarce and you're gonna get much more invites compared to a DPS or a healer. But in the grand scheme of things, comparing Guardian Druid and Blood Death Knight to, for example, top tier tanks, first of all, durability wise, you can definitely see a much bigger difference. Impactfulness, mob control, for example. The fact that the Restoration Druid is so dominant pretty much kills the Mark of the Wild from Guardian Druid, which is another area that I consider important to have group buffs in a party. In general, self-sustain plus damage don't look to be as competitive compared to the tanks that are placed above them. Hence why I would say they're still going to be fine if you're looking to be a casual player and get into, your average keys. But if you're looking to push high-end content, especially the rank 1 titles and above this, then you might not be the best candidate there. So yeah. Guardian didn't get any changes this time around. I see a lot of people saying the Guardian got buffed last week. They've got an outer buff last week, but this time around, Guardian did not get any changes so far. And Fury and Arms Warrior both are going to be staying in a comp dependent for now speaking. Once again, Fury and Arms Warrior. Let's begin first of all with why do I think they are in comp dependent. I've already mentioned it a few times before this, but I still believe the general throughput of those picks is not terrible. Unfortunately, a lot of people think they're terrible. That's not the case at all. Maybe Fury is slightly better than Arms, but in the grand scheme of things, even if you do less damage than the rest of the peers of a DPS, you're still going to be very important piece when it comes down to a physical comp meta just because of your battle shout. Again, damage-wise, they don't look to be as impressive, especially if you're pulling large amount of mobs when played as a Fury. I guess Arms don't have that issue, but in a grand scheme of things, it don't have to be neglected to be like, let's say, dog shit tier or whatever. I still think you're gonna be fine. Don't be dooming about that Warrior. But if I have to rate them as a standalone spec compared to the specs that are placed above them, I would say a little bit on a lower end right now. Just a little bit. Maybe more buffs gonna come your way, or maybe the other specs can get nerfed. But for now speaking, comp dependent probably the case. Now again, if you're exceptional at the game, you might go higher, but I would say for now, that's pretty generous. Yeah, so a part of Battle Shout, what else does Warrior have? Shockwave is AoE stun, Stormbolt, Rallying Cry, and that's pretty much it. I mean, Spell Reflect could be considered utility if you're actually into taunting, spell reflecting, but like, if you have to think about how many, like, do you expect like the casual player or like even player that is like close to the title, do you expect them to like off-down Spell Reflect? That sounds pretty sweaty, not gonna lie. Yeah, comp dependent means pretty much A+ in the right tier. That's what it means, chat. Comp dependent means you are around A+-ish if you are placed in a good group together. That's what it means. Give or take. Spec that I've placed in a comp dependent, and that is a Mistweaver Monk, by the way. I've placed Mistweaver Monk here for the same reason why. Neither of the healing and damage look to be impressive. They're perfectly fine. But compared to the other healer, you can do better. External defensive cooldown on Mistweaver is likely the weakest compared to other healers right now, and I believe you can get much higher tier list placement if you are played in a physical comp, more specifically in a comp where you're playing with a Prot Warrior, for example, Mistweaver, and XYZ spec in there. Yeah, that's why I think you are currently in a comp dependent. In the right comp, you're definitely going to like A+, but as a standalone itself, I would say probably around A-, give or take, compared to the rest of the healers so far. That's why, for me, comp dependent is the right spot for Mistweaver. Fire Mage being demoted from A+ to A tier. Unfortunately, after the most recent balancing changes, Fire Mage most definitely suffered a massive hit, deforming them and demoting them down to the A tier. Both Arcane and Frost are gonna perform much better than what you are, and likely gonna be put down just because of this, on top of the nerfs that got done to you. Unfortunately, I don't see them being as good in this season unless they get further buffs, but given the fact how OP they were earlier into the PTR, I would doubt they will get any adjustments unless Blizzard has no idea what they're doing, because there's also a chance that they will actually buff you, but maybe they will, I don't know. But for now speaking, they have everything else. They have utility, they have good mobility. I don't know who the fuck said that Mage have no mobility. That's fucking cope. But mobility is one of the best as Mage. And if I gotta be honest with you, you're one buff away from being A+ or even best candidate. It depends on exactly... It depends really on like how future tuning will turn out. But for now speaking, entering Season 3, I expect you to be around A tier at most. First thing first, Boomy is not the worst DPS spec in the world, okay? That is definitely not the case. Do they have bad single target? Most definitely yes. Are they gonna get buffed in the future? Probably yes. But Boomkin right now as it says, if you're playing casual level keys, it's time to reroll of that shit. If you're playing high level keys, you're still gonna be fine. You're still gonna have good AoE output, especially if mobs have good enough health and they live for a longer time, you can ramp up, etc. You're still gonna be fine. But compared Balance Druid to last season to this season, massive difference. Like your tier set, for example, not looking as good as Season 2. So, in light of this, I am pretty confident you are probably gonna get adjusted in single target, just because you're doing pretty poorly in raiding, and Blizzard loves to buff Balance Druid last minute, and hence why I believe you're probably gonna get some juicy buffs coming your way. Everything else of Balance Druid is unchanged. You know, utility still stay the same, durability still can be an issue at times. You still have Mark of the Wild, which is pretty important. However, given the fact how good Restoration Druid is, Mark of the Wild might not be as good this time around, because again, if you already have a Druid in your S tier comp, then why do you need double Druid? You don't, most definitely. So yeah, that's another reason why I think unless the Restoration Druid gets to be nerfed, I don't see Balance going to the S tier for now. But yes, A tier is gonna be the placement for Balance rate so far. It's gonna be Press Evoker actually going to the A tier. I honestly think that Press Evoker is very underestimated spec in Mythic Plus right now. Their throughput, both damage and healing, is likely one of the best right now in Mythic Plus, especially the damage department. They have good externals, good utility, good mobility, good healing. The only problem I'm having with Preservation Evoker is just the amount of difficulty we can experience playing in a full puck, just because people are pretty unaware of how to play around Press Evoker, so they could at times struggle, especially when you play with, for example, hybrid comps, 2 melees, 1 range, or double range, 1 melee. It could be a pain in the ass if they have bad positioning, and therefore your performance will definitely struggle. Hence why I think, because of this, I'm going to demote you to A tier. Or I guess you're going to still retain A tier with a very high possibility of you climbing higher, just because if you play in a premium group, most definitely do a lot better than in a puck so far. Outlaw Rogue is going to climb from A tier to A+ tier based on the most recent buffs done to them, which is actually pretty good. They're getting better and better every single patch. They started pretty bad, going from B to comp dependent to A tier, and now climbed all the way to A+. I still believe Sub Rogue and Asa are currently better than you are, but having the least performing Rogue spec in the A+ tier is definitely a blessing in disguise. Once again, utility of Rogue is never changing so far. Poisons, Shroud could be useful, good mob control as well. You are pretty durable, at least to most of the encounters. And yeah, this is one of the prime contenders as a spec to be played in a physical comp, meaning that you get the full benefit from Mystic Touch and also Battle Shout, which can rise your rank even higher than A+. It depends on on what you're playing with. But even if you don't play in the comps that have Mystic Touch or Sky Fury or have Battle Shout, your damage is still not gonna be a disappointment. So definitely thumbs up to Outlaw Rogue. Demonology dropping from best candidate to A+ tier. Honestly, I think deserved. After the most recent nerfs, I think you're gonna be likely a better spec to be playing raid with than Mythic Plus, in my opinion. You're still gonna be decent. You're still gonna be doing pretty good job. But unfortunately, after the most recent buffs, I think your output is now gonna be around above average. Nothing too impressive. Warlock utility hasn't really changed ever for the past couple of years. Still the same. Curses, the Hailstones, Combat Resurrection, Gate. Although Gate is not as useful this season, there is nothing important to be skipping, etc. It's still gonna be a tad useful. Petty Eye, however, could be a little bit clunky, especially if your pet dies in Mythic Plus. But outside of this, your damage profile looks to be pretty consistent and also have good single target. Definitely great to be playing Demonology if you are experiencing and playing low to mid level keys. Even high keys, why not? But I think other specs can do better than what you can do. The lack of interrupt, I mean, you do have like a stun as an interrupt. It's not really like as useful, because let's say if there's like a range ad casting and you kick the ad, it pretty much stuns the ad, and it doesn't enable the ad to come close to melee, which is pretty bad. Pretty bad of an interrupt for Demo, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, that's the class Final Fantasy so far, so you can't say no to that, chat. It's what pretty much you sign up for. Okay, you had a demon form back in the days, they stole it, they gave it to the DH, so now you don't have demon form. You're pretty undemon formed. Okay, that's all. Pretty undemon formed. I think Prot Pally goes to A+ tier. Prot Warrior, once again, I think also A+ tier. they do actually quite better than last season. But let's talk about first the Prot Warrior. Prot Warrior, damage looking to be one of the best in my opinion so far. Absolutely incredible performance coming from them. And in my opinion, one of the prime examples of how you can play physical comp meta with Prot Warrior in Mythic Plus, given the fact how strong they are. I think there's definitely a place where you can actually make a point of Prot Warrior being in a comp dependent, but overall speaking, I still would prefer to have Brewmaster above them, just because I think Brew is slightly stronger than Warrior. Once again, not a tank main, just giving my opinion of Prot Warrior, but definitely durability, self-sustain, and damage have gotten much better than last season, so that's already a big plus for you. Protection Paladin, honestly, has a very high skill cap, which means if you're not extremely good at the game, you're gonna get clapped on cooldown. Pretty much. I think durability so far is likely the biggest issue I have with Prot Paladin right now. Everything else, from damage to mob control to external cooldowns to the game, party buffs, it's amazing with Paladin. But I believe that the durability could be an issue, especially if you're playing in a pugs, when you don't have the exact external defensive done to you, when we're not as good at the game. You know, mistakes can happen and likely gonna get punished big time around. So unless your name is Yoda or you're extremely good at playing Prot Paladin, I would say likely not the best choice for you. Keep in mind. So I know a lot of people are like looking at things from the prism of like the best players in the world, but think about this: you're not them. Okay, you're not them, chat. Prot Pali, to make it livable in keys, especially in a full pugging where you don't have communication, whether they're gonna give you PS or Bark, etc., can be actually, you know, difficult to play. So I'm just gonna tell you that if you're a casual player, if you are aiming to get the title or even below this, I would say you are better off playing Warrior, Brew, or Vengeance so far, in my opinion. Again, if you consider yourself like extremely good player, give it a try. Give it a try. That's all. Holy Paladin received some buffs this week around, which increased their HPS and damage performance better. They are now doing a lot better than they were before, a lot more consistent. Toolkit itself has already been argued enough time to be said to be one of the best in Mythic Plus. They have an immunity. They're very tanky in my opinion, and have the chance to actually shine the best in all comps. Whether you're playing physical, magical, or hybrid comps, I think Holy Paladin is looking to be pretty good next season. Unfortunately, not as good as some healers placed above them, but still good enough to be considered a decent choice. So if you're a Holy Paladin enthusiast, you're still going to be fine playing Holy Paladin, but keep in mind there are going to be better healers suited for Mythic Plus. For now speaking. Retribution Paladin going from A to A plus tier. A means Red Paladin, climbing the tiers slowly but surely. I think Red Pali has everything to be a great spec if you're a casual player. If you're climbing high level keys, likely not going to be the one. The consistent damage is actually there. Single target and prior damage lacks right now compared to other specs. You're pretty durable, but you do have quite a lot of tools to help your team, like Freedom, and you have Sacks, 3% DR, Poison Dispel, Disease Dispel, Hand of Justice, Binding Light, etc. So you have a lot of tools to help your team, but if I gotta be honest here, I think the damage output, especially on ST, is a little bit lackluster. And the fact that you don't have a prior damage can also be... the fact that you don't have as much prior damage can be an issue. Because technically, if I gotta get into details, there is some prior with the spec, but it's not, you know, considered as good as other specs. You know, like there's very minimalistic. Yeah. But yes, you have a lot of tools to help your team. You have like Blessing of Sacrifice, Bop, Freedom, which again, all of those three can be helpful at times. Yeah, Hammer of Wrath, yeah, I don't know about that one. It's just damage. It doesn't help your team, for anything. So fuck it. It's just damage. That's all. And then Hunter, it's still gonna be fine, perfectly fine for Mythic Plus, both in AoE damage and single target. I think A+ tier is the least you can expect hunters to be entering Season 3. And in my opinion, if you are playing low to mid-level keys, Hunter becomes even better than A+ tier. I'm just gonna say that here. The burst is absolutely incredible from them. When it comes down to Mythic Plus, you are gonna be still amazing choice. Yes, not looking to be as good as you were last time around, not looking to be as dominant, but again, the damage is still there, the price is still there, the single target is still decent, not too crazy, but it's still decent. And if I gotta be honest, you're gonna be picked up a lot more often than some specs in the physical comp just because you have a Bloodlust and you do good damage itself. So yeah, I'm still gonna be there. Like, I have no idea why people are actually memeing Marksmanship Hunter. I honestly think that Hunter is quite good. It's most definitely a spec that is considered quite good right now. Once again, I'm gonna prove the haters wrong. A lot of people think Survival deserves to be in a B tier, but Survival is actually blasting next season. They are likely looking the best they ever looked the entire expansion so far, and in my opinion, it's gonna be a prime example of why you should never trust, public opinion without even trying it yourself. That's all I'm gonna say. Survival consistent damage, especially Sentinel, look to be incredible. Every 40 seconds you have cooldowns, which is pretty amazing for Mythic Plus. Good prio, decent AoE damage, good single target. Utility wise, you definitely need some love there, but any hunter needs that. And yeah, overall, you're doing pretty good. Again, damage doesn't look to be insane, but it's most definitely not a bad damage wise. Like, you'll be blasting a lot of auto specs, especially if you're playing low level keys where things like quick survival is insanely bursty and it can capitalize a lot of other people's mistakes. On high level keys where things live longer, you might fall behind, but in the key levels where actually quick damage matters, survival will be rather good. I still think you have a lot of value as a spec if you're looking at a whole enhance on its own, from insane mob control to very good utility with your Wind Fury, for example, with your Bloodlust, Double Stun, Hex, poison removal, decurses, etc. Your single target needs a little bit of a love, that's for sure, but the AoE department, the proud damage, the funnel damage is absolutely incredible, and I still think you are going to be fantastic choice for Mythic Plus next season. Definitely rate needs some changes, but overall, not a terrible pick in my opinion. Yes, I'm aware that Ellie does better single target, but when it comes down to AoE damage, Enhance is not bad at all. Like, they are pretty competitive between Ellie and Enhance. Maybe Ellie can be slightly better, but Enhance is most definitely not a terrible pick. I mean, a lot of you guys are typing that Enhance is the worst DPS. I don't know. That's definitely a cope, in my opinion. Next in line is gonna be Devastation Evoker, retaining their best candidate position. Yes, I know they were nerfed last week, but very small nerf to Dev Evoker, which again makes me believe that you are still gonna be fantastic choice for Season 3. Not the best, but most definitely far above the average. I think Flameshaper Dev Evoker is looking great. Once again, very, very good AoE damage, consistent profile. Without cooldowns, at times you could struggle, but during cooldowns, you're definitely a king. Parade damage, a lot of people think the parade damage of Dev Evoker is horrible. Not at all. The parade damage is most definitely not horrible. It's not the best by far, but it's not like Destrolog or Balanced Druid parade damage. It's definitely better than theirs. At times you can be padding, of course, at times, but not all the time. Okay. Utility wise, Evoker is incredible as always. I know that you don't have a party buff, the bronze buff is whatever. In my opinion, font magic, for example, can be useful to your team. But yeah, that's all. Man, I think you're doing pretty good, if I gotta be honest. Why do I think Brew is best candidate? First of all, compared to Season 2, Brewmaster is absolutely incredible in Season 3. Way better self-sustain. Damage is one of the highest, if not the highest in Mythic Plus right now. Very good single target, very good durability. Utility also is matching what the Season 3 dungeons have to offer. You are the prime tank for a full physical comp, in my opinion, and I think you are a lot more likely to see Brewmasters rising in next season than in the previous seasons. In my opinion, I think Brew will likely be the go-to tank for physical comp in Season 3. Babysitting the spec, yes, at times could be the case. Obviously, you're not as self-sustained, you're not as self-reliable compared to other tanks, but in the grand scheme of things, everything that you have to offer, you are incredible. So that's why I think Brewmaster is gonna be a best candidate, or I guess alternative like S tier could be also another way to, like, name the Brewmaster. But it's really good though. Like Brew with the Restoration Shaman or Restoration Druid, Feral Druid, Warrior maybe, Hunters. They're gonna be smashing Mythic Plus with Rogues, for example. Definitely a spec not to underestimate. Okay, so a lot of people seem to be confused. Best candidate means a spec that has the highest potential to get to the S tier, depending on circumstances, chat. That's what best candidate means. You are pretty much consider best candidate like S minus in a way, like alternative S, kinda, but not really, That's what it means. I'm gonna yeah, best candidate to be promoted to S tier. Exactly. Okay. And I already spoke about the Restoration Shaman, but I'm gonna say this. In my opinion, Discipline Priest and Restoration Shaman are still gonna be incredibly strong in Season 3. Yes, Disc Priest got nerfed heavily several times in a row, and it's still gonna be fantastic for Season 3. However, compared to Restoration Druid right now, the HPS is most definitely not there. I believe that utility of Disc Priest is better, especially external utility, like for example, Barrier, Stamina Buff, double PS, Shields, Absorbs. Like the healing and the HPS are not compatible to Restoration Druid, but everything else is already better or equal. Unless you mention the mob control. The mob control of Discipline Priest is really bad. At least Pharaoh has a kick, Disc does not have a kick. Also, Restoration Druid can have an in-cap Roar, which is pretty much mass AoE stop, and you can have Vortex Typhoon, which is kind of not a stop right now. And Disc Priest has only Fear, and that's it. No kick, nothing else, just Fear. Mind Control is not as big in this season compared to like previous seasons, so the only time that I can consider Mind Control useful is in Host of Atonement. If you're gonna play triple caster or quadracaster, Mind Control can help you at times, but overall I would say not needed. And the Restoration Shaman, once again, I believe you're gonna be absolutely a fantastic choice for Season 3. Mob Control, the best so far from all the healers. Bloodlust, Sky Fury, which is a mandatory buff to a physical party if you don't have Enhanced Shaman or Elite Shaman in a physical party, which most of the time you don't. Restoration Shaman will likely retain the go-to spec to play in a physical comp. Once again, I'm not going to mention all the utility the Shamans can do, but it will be very useful to have Shamis there. Very good HPS, they're very comparable to Discipline Priest in some cases, even better. And DPS wise, not looking to be incredible, but people don't really care about, incredible DPS as long as you can heal the encounters. So overall, I think Shaman likely takes the cake for physical comp metas. Shadow Priest is gonna be the next DPS in line. I don't think you're close to S tier. I don't think so, and I'm gonna tell you why. Okay, first of all, the utility part of Shadow Priest is definitely great, especially now that we know Restoration Druid is definitely stonks going up. However, the damage output of Shadow Priest is just not comparable to S tier specs right now. Especially in like super heavy mass AoE damage profile, Shadow Priest definitely lacks the output. The prior damage is there, the single target is there, but in some of the dungeons, you're gonna get absolutely dumpstered by some of the specs there. That's all I'm gonna say about Shadow Priest. You're not bad at all, but I don't think you're the best. Keep in mind that best candidate, which pretty much means way far above average, is still a good place to be. Mob control is also an issue. You interrupt is every 45 seconds. Yes, that can be an issue at times, not in every single key, but at times. But even if you don't consider the mob control, even if you don't consider the fact that you don't have ways to help your team except for the fear and one single kick 45 seconds. Your output itself is just not looking to be S tier contender. But then again, you're not bad. I mean, you cannot be sad about Shadow Priest being like top 10 in the world. I mean, come on, guys. Like, there's no chance that you can be sad about it. There's like zero chance. In my opinion, you're perfectly fine. Okay, you're perfectly fine. I don't think that's a sandbag. I don't know. You guys can tell me. We can discuss later what is a sandbag and what is not. But I sincerely believe Shadow Priest is gonna be fine, just not S tier. That's all. Comp dependent pretty much means like the highest candidates to go to the S tier. That's what best candidate means. So if you are here, which means there's a very high chance for you to get to the S tier. It depends on a lot of stuff. You know, like key level, group comps, etc, etc, etc. Yeah, since the beginning of the War Within, we've never had Feral Druid making best candidates so far, and I think they're looking absolutely incredible. Kitties are eating well from very good AoE damage, likely one of the best when it comes down to like pure AoE output compared to like specs in like physical comp. To good prior damage as well with your bites. Way better consistent damage than some specs, in my opinion, placed in A+ tier. Utility is already there, which means Mark of the Wild is useful, Poison Removal is useful, Vortex, Typhoon, Roar, Soothe, all of this can help your team survive the important important encounters in Mythic Plus. Single target can be an issue at times, however. I wanna mention this, like pure SD can be an issue at times. And I believe Pharaoh is definitely way better than Balance right now, not even comparable. So, yeah. Havoc DH will make the best candidate tier, which is actually very admirable for a spec that hasn't been changed as much comparing to other specs. So, obviously, Havoc DH has everything that a spec placed in a best candidate needs. Very strong prior damage. One of the best, if not the best funnel in a game. Actually, this could be arguable because Arcane funnel got slightly nerfed. So technically Havoc can now have the best funnel in a game in Mythic Plus. Very competitive damage damage during cooldowns. Good single target, good utility, good self-sustain. Have an immunity, well, kind of immunity, I guess. So yeah, I think Havoc has pretty much everything to be a top tier spec right now. The only thing that I don't think Havoc has is just pure output. There are some dungeons where you just need a little bit more damage output to be considered S+ tier. But yeah, other than that, you're doing fantastic. I mean, I said one of the best funnels in a game. I don't know if Havoc has better funnel than Outlaw Rogue. Following after the buffs to Outlaw Rogue, maybe Asa can have better funnel than Havoc. We gotta test it, honestly. Maybe actually Havoc can have less. I'm not sure. Either way, if you're not the best, then you're probably second best, which is already W, So whatever, doesn't matter. You're still second best. Doesn't matter, dude. Fuck it. Affliction Lock will be a best candidate spec in starting season 3 so far. Absolutely incredible performance from Affliction Lock. From once again, a great single target, great prior damage, good funnel, good consistent AoE cooldowns every minute, every 2 minutes. Sustained damage is also incredible. The longer the mobs last, the more damage you're gonna do as well. The ramp up is there. They're pretty tanky too. I think Affliction Lock is looking to be great. Not the best spec in the world, but most definitely way better than what you were last season. Okay, that's for sure. I think Affliction Lock is gonna be a sleeper spec because it's, first of all, not a spec that people play a lot, and you are likely gonna see it more in play starting with season 3. Not a lot of people actually play this spec. That's why they don't know the answer. B tier no more? Nah. I think it's pretty good. You are underestimating Rasso. Come on. That's definitely a sandbag. Ellie Shaman. I swear to you, Ellie is actually not turbo broken as you guys think it is. I think it's fantastic. It does amazing, especially during cooldowns. Your single target has improved quite a lot. Consistent damage looks to be way better. The utility is looking to be incredible next season. But I don't think you are the best spec. There are things that that I believe are actually not working in your favor. I'm gonna give you an example. There are times in packs where you don't get to have procs and therefore your consistent damage goes down. Chat, listen to me. I am not sandbagging on Gab, dude. I am not lying. Like, your damage is insane, but it's not broken insane, okay? Like, you're not, for example, I'm not gonna say it now, but you know, there are other specs that are better than you. But again, the whole toolkit is there. Like Sky Fury, Bloodlust, Poison Removal, Curse Dispel, Double Stun, Knock Up, Short Kick, good AoE damage, good prio, good single target, good funnel. It's just that aspect of RNG sometimes can piss me off, and at times I would say not as. I mean, that's all I'm gonna say. Take it as you want, hate me if you want it, I'm just being honest. And that's gonna be Restoration Druid. He's taking the crown this time around before the patch drops out. The HPS profile of Restoration Druid is just broken. There is no way, there is nothing else to say here except that the damage profile is broken. That's it. Broken damage profile, healing profile on the Restoration Druid. It has incredible utility, Mark of the Wild, Poison Dispel, Typhoon, Vortex, Roar, Kick, etc., which can be exactly what you need in Season 3. You need Poison Removal, you need to have Suit as well, you need to have Interrupts, and you need to have a lot of HPS. This is exactly what the Restoration Druid needs, especially against rot damage. There is no better healer that can handle rot damage than Restoration Druid. That's why I believe in my whole heart they belong to the S tier. Now, there is a world where if Restoration, okay, I'm not saying they will, but if there is a world where a Restoration Druid actually gets to be nerfed, okay, we might see another discipline preseason. That's it. Like, if this pick gets to be nerfed, we might see potential another disc preseason, which I know you guys don't want to hear, but yeah. And for the best tank, I've chosen Vengeance DH so far. I know a lot of you don't want to see. I know a lot of you guys don't want to see Vengeance DH being once again the best tank, but I believe in my whole heart Vengeance will likely end up being a top 1 or top 2 tank so far, going to the Season 3 patch 11.2. Vengeance has incredible damage, however, not the best damage profile or damage output across all tanks. The mob control of Vengeance likely the best so far, Mythic Plus, or at least second best. Utility is looking to be incredible. Self-sustain getting better and better. And overall, I think you're going to be a consistently great tank between all key levels so far. I think Vengeance DH, Brewmaster, Protection Warrior, Protection Paladin, they are close in performance. I've given you my choices. Why do I think that Vengeance and Brewmaster will be top tanks personally? Now, there could be a world where Protection Paladin can make it on top. Who knows? Maybe we are all wrong. Maybe Yoda is right. Maybe Paladin can be better and the best tank in the world. Maybe. Who knows, chat? But in my opinion, I don't think it is for now. At least for now. Hunter, I think, is likely to be the best Hunter spec so far entering Season 3. It's a spec that I believe it requires a little bit more ramp-up time compared to others. You definitely need mobs to live longer, in my opinion. But once they do live longer, your power damage gets to be really good. AoE damage profile looks to be incredible. Single target, very strong as well. Mobility, unreally good. Utility itself is likely the biggest disadvantage of Beastmaster Hunter or in general Hunter, but everything else so far, it looks to be incredible. In my opinion, Beastmaster Hunter definitely deserves best candidate, especially whenever you play in physical comps. It will be incredible, in my opinion. Yeah, that's all so far, chat. That's all so far. By the way, I know a lot of people are confused about Beastmaster Hunter. So currently they are playing no multi-shot build. I don't know. Are you guys aware of a build of Beastmaster Hunter that don't play with multi-shot? Anybody aware of that? So they have a build where they only press Q commands and barb shots. That's all they do. They press Q command, barb shot, Q command, barb shot, and they proc dire beast through procs. That's it. It's pretty good. You can also play the alternative build, which is the multi-shot build, if you want to. That's also fine. So you get to decide which one you want to play. Unholy Dead Knight, I was wrong about them. I had them in an A tier last week, and most definitely after trying different builds, they're definitely not A tier. The damage itself is actually doing pretty well. Like the AoE department of this spec is doing pretty good so far. I like it myself. The ST is not looking bad at all. They're pretty tanky. Grips can be useful this season as well. Overall, not looking to be broken like you were last season, but most definitely way above average. In my opinion, in some cases, you can be considered also S tier. So Unholy Death Knight takes the crown. At least the top 10 crown, which is still a W so far. Yeah, definitely a sleeper spec. A lot of people... Now keep in mind, the reason why people think it's a sleeper spec is because Unholy, if you guys remember, I don't know, how many of you guys remember Unholy being absolute dog shit at the beginning of PTR? Maybe you don't, but it used to be really bad on PTR, like real bad. And then it got buffed, I believe, 3 times in a row or 4. And they became from being really bad to decent to good. So that's your curve of progression for Unholy Death Knight. That's about it. Destruction Lock gets the cake after this, but they're likely gonna do better damage than Arcane or Frostmage in some of the keys, okay? So Destruction Lock, in my opinion, is definitely right now a top 5, top 6 spec in Mythic Plus. The AoE department of the lock is absolutely incredible, and it's likely gonna be a spec considered to be the third DPS in an S plus tier comps, especially with casters like with mages. Destruction Lock is doing incredible, and it's one of the specs that I consider the highest output across all the specs. If you only care about damage, Destruction Lock might be your best bet right now, especially in AoE right now. It looks to be incredible. The single target department got buffed recently. They do better. They're not the best, not the worst. You don't play Diabolist in Mythic Plus. At least I don't play Diabolist. I play Hellcaller. Perhaps Diabolist could be better in some cases. But as you can see, guys, for the people that are saying Warlock is bad, buff Warlocks, in my opinion, Warlocks are going to be fine for Mythic Plus. And in some cases, way better than the average performance spec. Yeah, goes Frost Death Knight. Frost Death Knight, even though has been recently nerfed, and yes, I know they went from S tier to best candidate, I still consider them a top 5 spec right now in Mythic Plus. They're very good damage profile, good single target, good prio, incredibly tanky, which can be at times very useful in Mythic Plus, especially when you push high-end content, and have very good consistent damage profile, which means minor cooldowns are incredible, major cooldowns are incredible. I still think Frost DK is likely going to be considered a top 5 spec in Mythic Plus. Unfortunately, no longer the king. I don't think you are the best DPS anymore. You used to be, I know, but you got nerfed few consecutive times back to back, and now you are top 5, which I think is still going to be fantastic for you. Moving forward, there is one more spec that I placed in a best candidate so far, and that's going to be actually surprising. And I know, but I gotta be honest with you, I was wrong about Sub Rogue last week. We had Sub Rogue on A tier, definitely wrong about that one, and I'm here to correct it and apologize for my grieving. I think Sub Rogue right now is absolutely fantastic, especially after the most recent changes. And I think for the very first time in a long time, I have Sub Rogue that high on a tier list. Currently, in my opinion, are entering as one of the best melee specs, and in general, one of the best specs in Mythic Plus right now. Sub Rogue definitely deserves the top spot for best candidates in Mythic Plus. Very like good burst. I haven't seen a rogue spec that can dish out such a good burst in a short amount of time. The consistent damage at times could actually be, in my opinion, problematic, which means you can have an issue if you don't have minor cooldowns, or dances in AoE. But if you play right, if you're actually good at the game, you're gonna have damage all the time, which means your proud damage, your AoE, your ST is gonna be absolutely fantastic. And therefore, I think you are, in my opinion, one of the best, if not the best, melee in some of the key levels. So yeah. Frost Mage, Arcane, and Asa as the best rogue spec right now. And in general, the best spec in the world. Chat. That's it. That's my unbiased, unsandbagging opinion about Mage. Whoever sandbagged Frost Mage, definitely you are trolling. I think Frost Mage right now, it at times could be actually the best Mage in Mythic Plus. At times, not all the time. I think most of the time you're gonna have Arcane, obviously, but there could be a time where Frost could actually be better than Arcane. Again, in some situation, not all the time. And I mean, is there anything else to say about Outlaw Rogue? This is the very first time ever since I've been doing tier lists for the past 5 years that we have Assassination Rogue on the very top of the tier list. Again, we've been here 5 years in a row. I've never ever had Outlaw Rogue to be the best DPS so far in Mythic Plus. Never. And I'm glad to say that Outlaw Rogue right now is the highest output spec in Mythic Plus. Absolutely incredible. The best AoE in the game, the best follow in the game, the best prio in the game. The pure single target might not be as competitive compared to other specs, like pure ST, but everything else is just great, right? So far. Unless it gets nerfed, who knows? Yes, for 8, they're not looking as good. True. But that's good because you might get buffed again. Who knows? Arcane Mage, it got slightly nerfed. That's why I think the door to Frost Mage has opened a little bit. The final damage nerfed a little bit, but I think overall it's gonna be incredible. Again, damage profile of Arcane is broken as fuck, so likely gonna see a candidate for S tier in the majority of season 3. However, you're never gonna play double mage in Mythic Plus. You're gonna play one mage, one rogue, and I think you're looking to have a DK or a Deathlock. But we're gonna talk about comps in a little bit right now. We're gonna rank each comps, but I think it's looking like rogue mage lock, rogue mage death knight. Yeah, I think those are. Is there a world where we see double rogue into mage? I don't know. I don't think so, because you still need to have actually maybe, but I think the DK value is too high to substitute like double rogue. So I think just like one rogue, one mage, right? I don't think you're gonna have double mage or double rogue. I don't think they're like that much. Yeah, probably Asa Arcane or Asa Frost into Death Knight, which can be Frost or Unholy, or Asa Arcane, Asa Frost into Deathlock, which can be pretty good. You could also technically play Ellie, Asa, and DK, which can be still good because you give them Wind Fury and Mastery. Does Mastery actually play a lot of a value in Outlaw Rogue? Like, does Outlaw Rogue like Mastery? And how much do you benefit from like a Shaman buff as a rogue itself? Like, how much value do you get? Asa loves Mastery as well. Nice. So then, in that case, you benefit a lot from Sky Fury. I would assume both Sub Rogue. No, I think all rogue specs should benefit a lot from the Sky Fury. You get flat Mastery plus Wind Fury. I think Death Knights and Rogues should benefit a lot. Yeah. Mastery is the best stat, but not super goated like with Ellie. Got you. Alright.